no secret that when your pencil can't get up, then your whole life is going down. I mean, anytime at this point when you're in a relationship and you have a good day, then like you're just like, damn son, what did I do? What did I eat? You know, you're trying to figure out what exactly I did that helped reverse this process. But as you guys all know, this stuff isn't like scientific. This stuff, like, you'll have a good day, you'll have a bad day, and there'll be really very little difference between them. And so you start trying to get as mathematical as you can, but the math doesn't always work. I mean, I would try some things, like I would fast porn, like, 1 or 2 days beforehand, just to kind of build up some strength. And, it kind of worked for a little bit, but it wasn't reliable. And then after a while, it stopped working altogether. Then, like, this is where it becomes a real big problem, because then I had to start, like, strategizing ways to get out of it. It's humiliating, right? You're in a relationship, and then all of a sudden she's like, why is this not working? And so then, yeah, because you know how women are famous for, avoiding sex and all that stuff in long-term relationships. And so I would use that to my advantage. It was like a judo, like throw move. Like every time she rejected me, I'm like, oh yeah, I knew you're gonna reject me anyways. I stay up a little bit later, too tired, too stressed to have a night together. But even that doesn't work forever, because and this is something I learned about women, is that women, like, the moment you stop pursuing sex is the exact moment she starts wanting it. And so now she starts asking me, like, why are you not proposing, initiating with me anymore? And so that's that. Then like, that game doesn't last very long. So then we have to go and have a night. And of course, I'm dragging my feet because I know what's going to happen. And then, she always get that really awful question. We all know what this question is, and we've all heard it. What, do you not think I'm not pretty anymore? That question. God, I hate that question, because it's not true. Like, it's like my own banana has made a liar out of me. I still love you, baby. I still think you're beautiful. Yeah, you're a little bit older. Yeah, maybe you gained a little bit of weight. But that's not the reason why this is all happening. But no matter what word you tell her, that will never be what she understands. She sees it as, my man is not attractive to me anymore. And that's a big deal, which I learned to a woman's psyche. That women have this thing where they need to be pursued. They need to be seen as attractive to especially by their man. And when you don't have that anymore, that becomes a big deal, and it hurts the relationship. And so that's why, that really hurts. I think the worst was when one time, I've been having this problem for a while. So she's saying, you know what, let's make a night out of this. She's like, I'm going to wear my sexy clothing, let's, put on some music. I'm really going to go all out and show you what I got, And so she did that. She really tried to make it a night. And I was like, in my mind, I'm like, dude, as hard as she's working to try to get me up and going, I really need to perform. And it really crushed me because, of course, I couldn't, no matter how much I tried to perform. I mean, you gotta keep in remember this. I think that this thing took some of this clothing she put in, I think she's put like 30 minutes to get into it. Like, this is not easy stuff for her. And this is stuff I didn't even know. I didn't even know, like, it took a long time to get into clothing. But apparently, some of this sexy clothing these women wear takes time to get in there. so this was really heartbreaking to her. And she made her feel really ugly. And that really creates this wedge in your relationship. And I think you guys all know what I'm talking about. There's like this elephant in the room that nobody wants to talk about. Everything else outside is fine, but this is like this cancer that is growing and getting worse by the day. And so you may be asking yourself, okay, where did this answer come from? How did I solve my problem? And surprisingly, it's nothing really like controversial. And that's why it kind of makes sense. See, to you, everyone points to two things. We all know there's something intuitive in our brain that's pointing to two things are the obvious problems with when we have this banana problem. And one is porn, and the second is stress, right? We all kind of feel it. Like, no matter how good or bad we perform, when we're stressed, we tend to perform worse. And so my thinking was, okay, then why don't I go the opposite direction? And I did this in an extreme way, really extreme. And so I started pulling out all the stops to get there. And one was, to learn meditation. I'll talk about that later. But I just use this to an extreme because in my mind, if stress was at least something most of us agree that this makes things worse, then at the very least, I want to make this less worse, right? Less worse. And so I went the extreme opposite direction in extreme relaxation, if you can think of it that way. And that's kind of the directional where I started going that eventually led to my solution. And so I'm going to talk about that more. Again, if this is something that you're wondering, is this something I have a problem with? You can, below there's a link to, you can take this test it's a 5-question test that doctors give to people to just figure out if this is something you feel like this is you're struggling with. And that just kind of shows you, like, where is your mindset at? And you can get it at primalhair.com. And then, I'm going to just keep doing this channel. I'm going to talk about how I came about this and how I solved my problem, because it's a long process, and eventually we'll kind of talk about the whole thing.